I'm grateful for sunshine. I'm grateful for the rain. I'm grateful for pleasure, and I'm grateful for the pain. Every day is a beautiful day. Even the black flies when they came out. A lot of people are like, "You're going to let kids use the concept bikes and the rowers?" I'm like, "Well, yeah." You're going to let them carry heavy weights? Yeah. Why not? What would they do on the farm? We were that hole in the wall. We were that kind of like fight club where it's like you don't know unless you know and been referred to. And I was able to survive for 9 years.
Hello and welcome to Gym World Worldwide. I am your host, John Franklin, joined as always with my co-founder, friend, and neighbor, the captain of the Gator Dun, Mateo Lopez. How you doing, buddy?
Good. Gator Dun parking. It's proof.
Oh,
It's proof that
that's a
I am the
nice looking
captain.
laundry room you got there, man. And joined with us today, since we are looking at alternative fitness business models all the time, we got a pretty interesting one for you. We hunted him down the depths of Canada, coming off of a heated election. We have Mr. Joshua Fry of OCR Academy. How you doing, man?
If I had a tail, I would wag it. I'm feeling
Oh, there
good.
we go. There we
Uh,
go. So you got a pretty interesting background here before you opened up the gym. First, explain what OCR Academy is so people understand what you do before we get into the nitty gritty, and then we'll talk about how you got into this style of gym.
Thank you. Yeah, OCR Academy is a family fitness facility. Don't like being called a gym. Family
Okay.
fitness facility. And that if Spartan Race and CrossFit met and they had a baby, that's what OCR Academy would be. And the crazy Uncle Ninja Warrior would come around from time to time and just cause some chaos. So we found a way to be able to merge everything so we can get the entire family involved in fitness, because it's not just adults, it's not just kids, it's everybody in that are welcomed, and we have classes for everybody.
How did you get into obstacle course stuff?
That was about 15 years ago. I did my first Spartan race, fell in love with it, and then got a job working for Spartan Race and traveling the country coast to coast and building these races, working for pennies on the dollar, sleeping on the course, sleeping on cots. We would go there and we set up as close to being in the military as you could possibly be, and it really taught me to be optimistic and that it could always be worse. Working in sunshine is not as bad as working in the rain. However, I'm grateful for sunshine. I'm grateful for the rain. I'm grateful for pleasure, and I'm grateful for the pain. Every day is a beautiful day. Even the black flies when they came out. So working for that organization really taught me, it gave me intel and data. Because after every race, I'd always talk to people and say, "How'd you like the race?" They say, "We love it, but I really wish there was somewhere I can go and train for this." And the more you hear that, then you're like, huh, there might be something here. And then so I just fell in love with the obstacle course racing scene. I did the races. I volunteered for the races. I worked for them for free. And then they offered me a job. And then I just fell in love with it. And I thought, maybe there's something here. And if out of the 16,000 people that did the races between Montreal, Toronto, and Ottawa, if I can get just 1% of those people, that's a business model. That's a business. I can really sink my teeth into something like that. So I didn't want to be Blockbuster. They're like, my customers love to come to my facility, choose a movie, talk to a complete stranger, rewind it, and bring it back. No, we don't. We like to sit in our basement and we like to click and watch something in our comfies. And Blockbuster, they had the rights to all the movies. All they had to do is just download them on, and then memberships, right? I don't want to be that. So I listened to the customers, I listened to what they want, and then I decided to do something on my own. I was fortunate where I inherited some money from a family member who I did not know. I met twice, essentially won the lottery. And then instead of opening up a franchise, an Anytime Fitness, a CrossFit gym, I actually reached out to Greco, which was a franchise in Ottawa. They never returned my phone call. And then, boom, I decided to do something on my own, and OCR Academy was born.
Is the scene still thriving? I haven't really heard a lot about Tough Mudder and stuff lately, but are people still doing these Spartan races?
In Canada, it is. I don't quite think that it's peaked yet. I think that there's still a lot of people that are wanting to do that. And then also, because Spartan Race bought Tough Mudder, so I don't know exactly what they're doing with that. I don't have my fingers on the pulse on how many people are registering for it, but I do know that when I do go to the ones in Ottawa, they're packed. I think you might be onto something where I think it might have peaked and that I don't know how popular it is. However, I want to choose to believe that evolutionary fitness is still something that exists. And I mean, what did we do as creatures for thousands of years before dumbbells were invented? We ran, we jumped, we swang, we climbed. Show me a kid when there's a rope attached to a tree and not want to swing off of it, right? And the great thing is that with what Netflix and these binging and streaming, the kids are not all right, the parents are not all right. What I make kids do or encourage kids to do in my facility, you and I used to do that when we were kids for free. Now people are I'm charging people to do it.
Yeah. Well, you have walls and a roof, which is important in Canada where it is snowing like 10 months out of the year. So, that definitely warrants a fee. So with Spartan, you were like everyone who did the obstacles, like you guys were like groupies basically, or roadies. You would like go to every race and like live on like build, tear down, go to the next one, and kind of like a road show.
Yeah, and I'm talking to some of the Spartan Race crew now, and I'm like, you guys get to sleep in hotels? You
They
guys
really,
get beds? You guys get sheets? You get 3 square meals a day? I was sleeping on a cot in the cafeteria in the ski lodge. I remember the founder made me take a drill and drill through propane tanks, empty apparently, propane tanks, and cut holes in them and fill them with sand and take his suitcase weighing thing to make sure that each one of those propane tanks were filled with the right amount. That's how far back I go. I was one of the OGs but yes, it was very rustic and very, again, like being in, I don't know what it's like to be in basic training, and I don't want to undermine what those folks do, but it wasn't always sunshine and rainbows working with Spartan Race. It was pretty rough.
we said 15 years ago. Wasn't that when Spartan Race started? Like 2010 was kind of when that started up, right?
Yep. Yeah, I was on the first. I did the first one in Ottawa. Fell in love with it. Ended up going to Texas for the championships, and then applied for a job and fell in love with it. And actually, when I applied for my job, I trained to because it was the interview was in Montreal, and so I decided that I wanted to go to the interview in Montreal. One of my clients dropped me off, and then I ran back to Ottawa after I rocked the interview. Took me about 26 hours before I decided I'm done with this. I'm not running anymore. And then I stopped, but got 80% of the way done. You know what? Maybe I might do that again.
That sounds like quite the journey. And so let's talk about the actual gym itself. It's how big is it? Because I know you just went through an expansion. And how did you, like as someone who's unfamiliar in the obstacle world, like how did you think about like setting this up? Like what do you need to have an obstacle based gym or family fitness facility?
Thank you. And the reason why I wanted to call it that was because for the first time when I was I wanted to move, and I actually got typecasted and stereotyped and denied because, oh, you're a gym? Nope. We're not renting you our space. We don't want you here because we don't know the guaranteed of it. So to open up an OCR Academy, walls. We have anywhere from a 4-foot wall to an 8-foot wall, a slip ramp to jump off of into a crash mat, almost like a high jump. It's 12 feet up in the air and you jump off of it. It's the best time. Kids will just do it over and over and over again. Monkey bars, rigs, rope climb. We have the warp wall, the Ninja Warrior warped wall, the 10-foot to the 14-foot. And then also any squat racks, sleds, dumbbells, barbells, kettlebells, rowing machines, bikes, ski machines, airdyne bikes. A lot of people are like, you're going to let kids use concept bikes and the rowers? I'm like, well, yeah. You're going to let them carry heavy weights? Yeah. Why not? What would they do on the farm? What, you're too young to carry hay? You're too young to shovel manure? No. You're going to carry that. So not telling kids what they can't do, asking them what they can do, and then see what they can do after that and surprise us. If you can't do a CrossFit workout, a High Rocks workout, or do a full boot camp in my gym with the equipment that I have, you do not belong in a gym. We've got bands, we've got everything that you would need to be able to do that. So essentially what I wanted to try and do was bring every possible part of fitness, CrossFit, strongman, gymnastics, calisthenics, obstacle course, body weight, all the things that essentially encompasses fitness, and bring it into one facility.
How much of this stuff do you have to build? Because you can't just like go buy these walls from Rogue or something like that. Like you had to build all this equipment.
Yeah. Yeah, we had to. Luckily, when I joined Spartan Race, I was a kid that never touched a power tool. I never used a screwdriver. I was a city kid, lived in an apartment. I was raised in the foster care system, so I did not have a dad that could kind of teach me and show me the ways of how to do things. So really, I got a crash course on how to build things with my experience at Spartan Race, building the obstacle. So I just took that and married it and brought it over to OCR Academy. So I was very fortunate where you'd think that I planned it, when really I was just winging it. And a lot of the stuff that we've got, like if you look at what we first looked like when we opened versus what we do now, the place has completely changed. I was that kid that always moved his room around. It seemed like every couple of months I was moving things around, and I love Tetris. So I'm always tinkering and trying to move things and say like that doesn't work and that doesn't work, and also being observant. Like, what are kids naturally gravitating to? What are parents and adults naturally gravitating to? What could I either expand or remove? So it's really just not being stuck or married to a particular type of thought pattern, ideology, or the way that the gym, I think, should work. So this has been a 10-year journey of just collecting data and seeing what works and what doesn't.
And how does it work? Like, what does the schedule look like on a weekly basis? It seems like you have some, I'm assuming, youth classes, adult classes, then obviously big events and parties. So how does the schedule and the sessions actually work?
Yeah, so OCR Academy, we have morning classes that are strength and conditioning. We just got affiliated with High Rocks, and so we're doing some High Rocks classes as well. And then we have the morning class at 6 a.m., and then we do field trips during the day. We also have moms coming over with their kids as well during the day. There's a psychology doctor's office next door to us, and when we expanded our location, that's the other thing, guys, is that for 9 years, I had a back door. I didn't have a front door entrance. Like, we were that hole in the wall. We were that kind of like Fight Club where it's like, you don't know unless you know and been referred to. And I was able to survive for 9 years. And then we recently expanded and opened up the front entrance. And now we've got kids who are going to imagine sitting down for an hour and talking about your feelings at 9 years old. It is very difficult. So we are getting those kids to come to either before or after and doing little drop-ins to kind of burn off some of that energy, because we all know the correlation and the link between mental health and physical health. So then we do an afternoon class, and then we do evening classes for kids 7 and older, 7 to 13, and then we have an adult class as well. But then during the summertime, we have summer camps during the March break. You think about it, how much is an average membership nowadays, depending on what format you go, anywhere between $90 to $120 to $160 per membership. Why do birthday parties on the weekend? And I average about 8 birthday parties a weekend, average. Sold out is 16. Each party is $360, and I get 12 kids showing up, and I only have to work with them for 2 hours. When you do the math, $120 membership, well, I have to pay a staff member to coach that person. By the 12th, 13th, 14th class, my ROI starts to really minimize, and I'm not really making a whole lot of money off of the 95 clients that I have. I only have 95 members, but I have 1,500 people walking through my door. Yes, I could probably work on my conversion rate a little bit more. But then in the summertime, the big problem that a lot of my PTs have is that I can't train somebody when there's 60 kids running around for 8 hours. 60 kids, 12 weeks a year, $335 per kid. So just in camps alone, that's $120,000, $140,000 in revenue. That's my rent.
And so what percentage of your revenue comes from kids versus adults?
90% is kids. Part of the Blockbuster thing was that when we first opened up, 90% of the phone calls that we were receiving were, do you do stuff for kids? Do you do stuff for kids? Because we were originally going to bring recess back for adults. If out of the 16,000 adults that are doing a Spartan race, if I could get just 1% of them coming to my facility, then it was adults, but 90% of the phone calls were kids. So we decided to pivot and adapt and go in with kids. And so we do birthday parties, hockey parties, end of year hockey parties, team building, and summer camps and March break and winter camps.
So it was something that wasn't like the initial plan. It just evolved and happened to be who was interested.
Yeah.
So let's talk about these birthday parties. You said you're running 8 of them, 12 of them. What is an average weekend?
So we do parties on Saturdays and Sundays, and then we average about 4 per, depending on the time of year, 4 per day. But we're averaging, so about 8 a week. Lately, especially because of the end of year hockey parties, we're sold out multiple weekends. And so it's trying to be able to figure out, like, nobody was telling me what to do or how to do this or how to do a layout or how to do a birthday party. So we had to do a lot of trial and errors. So what we do now is that a parent would call and we'd put down a deposit to secure your spot. And then what we used to do was then when the parents show up with 10 kids, we would say, okay, well, you owe us the remaining difference, which is $220. And then we would turn over the tap thing and it would ask for a tip. Well, you haven't received any of the services yet. So you're not likely going to tip, right? So we decided to change that. And so how it works is that you show up, an obstacle guard will take you through the obstacle course and show your kids how to do, they'll give you tips and tricks on how to overcome each one of the obstacles. Helps us with our insurance as well. So that way parents and kids know how to safely use our obstacles. Then they get some free time. We make pizza in-house. We present with them the pizza at about the halfway mark. They eat, they have cake, which they bring, and they go back out onto the course for free time. After the dessert, then I call the mom over, and then I ask them some of the open-ended questions. Like, how was Jimmy's birthday party? It was great. How was your instructor? Oh, Jack, he was awesome. How was the food? Food was amazing. You just answered yes to those 3 qualifying questions. Then I turn it over. There's $320 on there. Can you please tip 15, 18, or 20%? You are more likely going to leave a tip after me asking those 3 follow-up questions, right? The closing. Then the parents would get some free time after the course, and then we clear the table off, and then we bring in the other 12 or the other 20, depending if it's a hockey team. And then we do that. And then I do my tip outs for my staff. So they get paid relatively well as minimum wagers. Here in Ontario, it's high. $16 minimum wage for most high school kids. And then usually after a weekend, 2 weekends in a row, they get an extra $100, give or take, on average of tip out.
Hey, gym owners, are you looking for a way to generate more leads, close more sales, and increase client retention? Introducing Kilo. We are a software company that gives gym owners the tools they need to increase revenue and run a successful gym. With Kilo, you get a beautifully designed website to capture more leads, an integrated marketing automation platform to increase sales, and our gym management software so you can add new client memberships, process payments, and organize your class schedule. If you're ready to upgrade your gym management software, book a call at usekilo.com. You mentioned insurance. What is insurance for something like this? I imagine it's got to be, well, I don't know. It sounds like it would be pretty expensive because you've got kids, a lot of them coming in and they're jumping off of ledges or they're climbing things. So yeah, what does it take to insure something like this?
It was very difficult to actually find proper insurance because nobody really knew how to insure something like this. We're not rock climbing, we're not gymnastics, we're not CrossFit. So how is it that they could really insure us? So we were actually able to find a loophole when we first started where we actually offered Krav Maga classes. And so they insured us under Krav Maga. And then we stopped doing that after a year. And then we still continued that rate. And then they just kept renewing with us. We told them that we stopped doing Krav Maga. So the insurance is actually about $500 a month.
Oh, wow. Okay. And I am also curious about the food piece. Did you have to get a special kitchen license to prepare food for the kids, or how does that all work with like health and safety?
Well, we actually, so we cook everything from frozen. So I was able to perfect a frozen pizza. And plus, these are kids. They eat just about anything, and they're not
Oh no,
coming.
I'm not saying about taste. I'm just saying in terms of like if you're like an actual kitchen or not. Like I'm just trying to figure out how that whole piece of it
Yeah,
works.
because we cook from frozen. We don't because we don't physically touch raw food or raw ingredients, and the food is already pre-cooked. So we just literally stick it into a Ninja and then reheat it. And so that way, as long as we don't touch raw ingredients, then we don't have to worry about food handling. We have Wimmis, but we don't have to worry about food handling because we're not touching any raw ingredients. So we're able to get away with that.
Nice, love it.
What do the parties cost? What does it cost to do a birthday party?
$30 per child.
Okay. And so the average party you're saying has like between 12 and 20 kids.
Yeah.
And then they obviously are all, that's just like lead generation for you, right? Like you got 20 kids coming in using the facility. Cause that was what you were saying. You run 1,500 people through the facility every year. Was that what that number was?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we have 1,500 people walking through the door. And only just recently have we kind of developed a system where we try to get them back. So we just updated our Frederick AI with MindBody. So then that way we sell them. They can when they check in, we sell them a birthday visit, and then associated with that birthday visit is 3 to 4 post follow up emails, text messages that are saying, well, one, how did you like us? Leave a review. We made the mistake of asking for a mind body review, which helps because we can keep that on our website. So it's constantly flowing and updating, and it helps us with mind body, but it does nothing for Google. And as we know, what are the three things that people use to search people? Google, their website, TripAdvisor, social media. That's four. So we just recently are changing that to go from mind body reviews to leaving us a Google review, so to try and help keep our website alive and working intertwined with that, and then trying to get them to come back. And then also we do a handwritten letter. So I have these thank you cards, so that it shows our before and after pictures, and then I get my 16-year-old kid instructors with pigeon scratch penmanship write down, hey Jimmy, saw that you thank you for choosing OCR Academy. It looked like you had a great time. You did awesome at the obstacles. Hope to see you back again. Here's a free visit to come for open gym. And then it's a card, and then it's addressed to the child. And parents are really liking that their children are getting handwritten letters addressed to them. So it's something that really kind of keeps us separate. Each thank you card cost me about $4 between the stamp, the paper, and then the time to do it. But it's something that I don't think anybody else is doing in the fitness, or like, I don't think Star Gymnastics or trampoline places or climbing gyms are sending handwritten thank you letters to the parents. So it's trying to keep it old school, but then also still bringing the new school with the text message and the emails.
That's a decent chunk, right? So if we're doing 15 kids a birthday party, 8 a week. So that's like almost $4,000 a month in birthday party, or $4,000 a week in birthday parties. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, minimum. Yeah, that's a decent weekend. A good weekend is $6,000 a weekend.
And that's
And that's
just birthday parties.
that's just birthday parties.
And so talk about the conversion. So, if someone comes in, like if a kid wants to continue working with you, is it typically day passes, or do you offer some type of membership? Like you mentioned you had just under 100 members. How does that work?
So we have memberships. We do bi-weekly memberships. We have 1 day, 2 day, or unlimited. We also do packs, 5 pack, 10 pack, 20 packs, trying to drop in. For the longest time, I was very ignorant to the fact that I'm the only one in Ottawa. We've got a little over 1 million people in the city. We're the only one that's doing this. So I've been kind of relying on Jimmy or Sally watching Ninja Warrior with their dad or mom on TV and be like, Dad, is there a ninja gym in Ottawa? I don't know, son. Let me look. And then you Google Ninja Gym Ottawa, and my SEOs on my website, I'm constantly blogging, constantly updating my website. So my website is constantly being alive. And then I'm always posting to Google Plus page. I'm always posting to social media. So it's so that way when they search Google Gym Ottawa, it's funny, Google calls me. I'm like, I want you to do me a favor. Can you please Google Ninja Gym Ottawa for me, please? And they're like, oh, you're at the top. I'm like, yeah. What are you trying to sell me?
They should be paying you.
Yeah, I like a little piece of that Google money. But yeah, it's the conversion rate to get people in as members, where unfortunately, we're not a sport, official sport. Hockey, basketball, soccer, ultimate frisbee. We can't really compete with that. And then, well, we can. It's just that we don't necessarily have an NBA or something pushing it, right? And kids aren't going and be like, I really want to be the next Ryan Atkins. It's just not happening. I want to be the next Hunter McIntyre. Unfortunately, we don't have that just yet. So we're really kind of relying on the fact that, yeah, like a good month, we're bringing in 40 grand a month with only 100 members. So it's, when COVID happened, people like, you only got 100 members. I'm like, okay, yeah, we could be doing better. Yes, of course. But a lot of kids are already committed to soccer, football. But we get the end of year hockey parties. Why don't we do the start of the year, team building, and get them in at the beginning and then after, and then off ice training, off field training. So it's one of those things where, do I do memberships and have classes, or do I go to the Scouts, Cubs, Beavers, and get them to bring their kids in and use the obstacle course? Do I do team events? So it's like, get the hockey team in here to do off-field training and not do memberships at all and do contracts with these organizations. I don't know what route to go. I like seeing the kids in here every day. I like seeing the adults come in here every day.
Yeah, it's interesting because the schedule's like I'm still trying to get a sense of like what goes on in a class, because it's a kind of a light schedule. You've got some high rock stuff. You have some open gym time where I'm assuming people can go in and just kind of use whatever. But like, what goes on in an average class where you would need the squat rack and the ergs and then the climbing rig and then the, wall stuff you're climbing?
Yeah, how we did it was we married the two. So it's like, and sort of what we did with the CrossFit, because we only just recently became High Rocks. So a typical strength and conditioning class for us would be, we do a dynamic warm up, and then we go, okay, you're going to do 4 sets, 12 reps of back squat, front squat, bench press, deadlift, whatever the case is. 4 sets, 12 reps. Then we would do an adventure or a challenge. It's not a WOD, but because we're not affiliated, but we would do an adventure. And essentially what we would do is we combine everything. So it's like, okay, so let's do 500-meter row, then go do monkey bars, and then go climb up the slip ramp and jump off. And then grab a couple of dumbbells and do a farmer's carry around the gym. That's like an easy workout. And then let's do 4 rounds. That would take a 500-meter row aggressively, 2 minutes. Everything. Each round takes about 5 minutes to complete. 4 rounds is 20 minutes right there, with a 10-minute warm up, cool down, stretching, social time. Then we would also do like a boot camp where we do stations. So like a 4 10-minute AMRAPs, where we combine a cardio machine, a weighted exercise, a body weight exercise, and a cardio machine.
I like it. I like going on an adventure after my bench press. I like the idea of it. It's pretty cool.
Thank you.
And is it similar with the kids' classes as well?
Yeah. We try to, like, we won't be doing back squats, but we do a lot of goblet squats. We do lunges, trying to just get them, these little baby animals that are trying to figure out their legs and their body, just to try and get them sort of moving. But essentially, we really just try and do, as the tagline was, let's put the fun back in functional fitness. So taking what a lot of other facilities are doing with coaching their kids, and most organizations were like, let's do an obstacle course in our CrossFit gym. Like, that's cute. Let's do that. And then so we actually do something very similar, but we have an actual obstacle course, 200 feet of monkey bars, 100 feet of walls, the warp walls that they see in Ninja Warrior. There's an opportunity for them to be their hero. Jesse Graff. I want to be like Jesse Graff, and I want to be able to do the rings and the monkey bars and things like that. So recently what we've done is that we used to be very structured and very regimented, because when we're working with 20 kids and a lot of the obstacles, it can be quite chaotic. So we wanted to try and keep them structured and organized. So it really was an opportunity for us to try and keep structure, but we're herding cats at this point, and we lost that ability of wanting to have fun. And kids don't want, they're wild, they're feral. We're not raising kids, we're raising future adults. So really, they just want to have fun, and they want to be able to go out and enjoy that and be where superheroes come to train. So it's an opportunity for them to just try and have a little bit more fun. So recently I've told my staff to say, let's stop being so structured and regiment, boundaries and consequences. Still have the boundaries, but I want the kids to be able to have fun. I want them to be like with Big Brother Jack, Big Brother Bryce, and that their instructors are like their big brothers. And that if the, really kind of leading to them towards asking us, well, I want to get much better at doing the warp wall. Okay, well, we got to get those legs a little stronger. I want to work on a pull-up. Okay, well, we got to get that back nice and strong. We have to be able to work on that as well. So when they tell us what they want to do, then great. Now when a kid's asking questions, they probably want to learn.
There are a lot of CrossFit gyms to varying degrees of success that have tried to integrate, kids programs or kids fitness programs. There's also a lot of sports performance gyms that deal with kids. I think that's a little bit kind of easier to wrap your head around, because it's like, we're just continuing to coach them in their sport, right? But yeah, it's a very unique skill dealing with kids, especially young kids, and keeping them on track and make sure they don't kill themselves in the monkey bars. How do you look for staff? What do you look for in your staff, and how do you train up your staff to be able to deal with kids on a regular basis? It sounds like having fun, keeping it fun is important, but what else?
Yeah, it's that people person, thing is that people want to be able to show up because they like you, and they've got to have that social skill. A lot of my instructors actually used to be clients. One of my staff, Aiden, was started in the OFK program. Mark as well. Mark, actually 4 of them, all started in our kids program, and then they wanted to start working for me and being an instructor. So they know how to do all the obstacles, and then it's just me kind of pointing out things. Like when their knees cave in, what does that mean? When their shoulders are rolled forward, what does that mean? It's just being able to recognize those different those cues, so to kind of help them be able to adapt that way. But yeah, a lot of my staff used to be former clients, and now they just wanted, and before it was trainers, but then it was difficult finding trainers because they're like, I don't know how to climb a wall. I don't know how to do the monkey bars. And I was like, it's like hiring an instructor to teach you how to do a deadlift, and they say, I don't know how to do that. I'm like, what? So it was very difficult for a while to be able to find people that way. And then that's where I had to be the owner coach, the owner trainer, the owner maintenance person, the owner marketer, the owner. It was very difficult for me to be Hawkeye and work on my business from afar and be an owner and trying to get the place to a point where it doesn't need me, because it was very difficult for me to be able to find staff. But coming to year 10, I get to talk to you guys now, so it seems like
Right.
I'm doing something right.
Right. Exactly.
So, but we're on that verge. I think I'm on that cusp of being able to get to a point where now it's the systems that we're trying to integrate and develop that sales team. Because on the weekends, when we have 120, 130 people walking through our doors, I'm telling my staff, be like, that's like 12 kids, that's 12 memberships. If you just do the filter, the sales funnel, you talk to 12 kids, you get 4 of them interested to come in and try a free week trial, and then you sign 2 of them. Well, you just made hourly rate, you just got a tip out, and you're getting a bonus because you just sold 2 memberships. So having a sales team, and I fought that for a long time because I didn't think we needed one. But yeah, man, like $40,000 a month is great, but wouldn't 60 be nice? 70, 80?
Certainly possible. So to Taylor's point, a lot of gyms have, similar size, right? Your gym 6,000, or is it more now with the expansion?
7,900 with the front entrance, so that's where our cafe is now. And
Okay. So like the training space is around
6,000.
6,000. So if you're a standard, let's say CrossFit gym, and you wanted to do something like that without having to, put up, dedicate half your space to obstacles, is that something they could do? Or is that, is it something where you really got to go all in on this for it to work?
Yeah, we struggled with that for a while. Is that, we tried to give the prime time slot, what's the prime time slot? It's usually between 5 and 7, right? Especially for adults. But we tried to give the adults the prime time slot, but we were getting 10, maybe 12. But then when we did with kids, we were getting 20. So it was very difficult for us to be able to have an adult and a kid class going on at once with our old size. But then when we expanded and we were able to actually open up, and so that 1900 square feet that we just got, that opened up a 1900 square feet for a possible CrossFit gym, CrossFit, or like a strength and conditioning dedicated class. So then now I can have an actual dedicated area. Now I have a room that used to be our front entrance that could be dedicated to PT, because I struggled with having personal trainers, because it's very difficult for me to train an adult when there's 20, 30 kids running around, or during the summer when between 8:30 a.m. and 5 p.m. for 12 weeks out of the year, this place is packed with kids. So it's very difficult for me to get an adult program going, even though we were an adult family kid fitness area. But now with our new expansion, I'm optimistic in now being able to get a dedicate, like get my guys some PT, even with kids. Out of the kids is trying to get the moms to do PT with the kids or for the kids, and then mom might do PT. We just recently added a spa in the facility, so we have an esthetician on site. About 90% of the adults that book kids or drop their kids off are moms. So 90% of my clientele is females and males, or females and kids, sorry.
I was like, I think 100%.
Yeah. So now having a dedicated area for the moms to go and get manicures done, pedicures done, eyelashes, eye extensions, hair removal, guys, hair removal. We all can't have that boy band back for our entire life, right? So being able to provide that additional service for our staff or for our clientele. The cafe, we work with a local company that gets pretty good roasted beans. So we have our own, they do like a program where we can put our logo on it. So kind of like have our own coffee bean kind of thing. So
a lot of stuff going on over there. And so in terms of marketing, is it like, are the birthday parties the primary thing, or is it just, you obviously rank well, because are you still the only obstacle like facility in your area?
No, there's some other ninja gyms.
Rank one for like OCR, anything obstacles, Spartan, Ninja, like are you up there for all those?
Yeah, there's Altitude Gym, which is a rock climbing facility. They're in the top. Then there's another gymnastics place in Gloucester, but we're the only ones that are doing obstacle focused. And so with the OCR season coming up, we've got 4 races in Canada for Spartan Race, and then Mud Hero as well. So we're ranked, we're getting ready to get people, so we're doing workshops, getting people ready for Spartan Race seminars. Like, this is how you get over a wall, this is how you climb a rope, this is how you do monkey bars. These are some tips and things like that you could use. So we're kind of getting into our busy season, which most gyms, the summertime is actually their quietest time. Especially in Ontario and Canada, because it's like we only get 10 weeks of good weather. So we want to be outside. And then
so also, how seasonal is it? Like what's the, how big of a difference percentage wise would be your best month versus your worst month?
Theoretically, summertime is actually financially our quietest. But the thing is that everyone registered for their summer camps in March, in April. So it's seasonal, yes. So theoretically, our summertime is actually kind of our quieter times financially, but we try and make up for it with getting people ready for the Spartan Race. So we're bridging that gap a little bit. It's now almost pretty continuous throughout the whole year, and we've got people getting ready for fall, so school, and trying to get people in for the after school care and semesters. We've just recently gotten to a point where now it used to be cancel anytime, but now, especially for kids, we follow the school semester. You commit from September to December, and then you commit from January to June. We do have seasonal times, but we're trying to fill those gaps up with the summertime seminars and pre-sale for the fall.
Tell me a little bit about the sponsorship program. I read in our notes you sponsor some athletes. Is that true?
We do. We sponsor athletes as well as kids as well. We also work with underprivileged families too, because I know that being able to afford $325 for a week of camp is not feasible for a lot of families. Even in our nation's capital, which is a government town, there's still poverty and they're still struggling. I don't want to say a number because I don't want to, but I help out a lot of families to make sure that their kids can still enjoy a summer camp, fitness as well. But yeah, we have Dom Poissant, who's a golfer, and he comes in and he does his training through here. And then we have some other kid members as well that we sponsor. I just can't quite remember their names off the top of my head.
Rocking, man. Well, we're getting close to the top of the hour here. Let me know where we should send people if they want to follow along, learn more about the model and what you got going on.
Thank you. Yeah, social media, OCR Academy, website, ocracademy.ca. Blogs are there. Some good content. Like I said, our mission is to help 1 million people overcome life's challenges, one obstacle at a time. Why? Because we can. And a lot of the obstacles aren't just physical. It's emotional too, and cognitive as well. So there's a lot of content out there about CBD, cognitive brain training. We want to be able to teach people how to think, not what to think. And so that way being intuitive with decisions that they're going to be making in their day-to-day lives. So blogs are definitely something I'm pushing as well, but social media is a big thing. And personally, I've had to overcome my own challenges, raised in the foster care system. I was sexually abused by my therapist. I was raised to believe that I was just worth $20 a day by quote unquote parents, therapeutic foster parents. Like, you are just $20 a day to me. I don't give a shit if you have a migraine. I don't give a shit if you're sick or tired. Why are you getting suspended from school? I don't care. You got suspended. I wasn't expecting you to be home right now, but you're home. You're going up to your room. I don't care. And so, in my past relationships, they've all asked, like, why is it that you feel so comfortable to just walk away? Well, because I was dusted off and thrown easily, be like, move to another home or move to another school or move to there. So it's definitely taught me a little bit of resiliency. And I've kind of got that Cinderella story where it could have been worse, being homeless. I lived at my gym for a while as well. So I've had my own obstacles that I've had to overcome. So helping other people do that as well has been something that, and yeah, high school, college dropout, no formal training, worked job to job before I found Spartan Race. I've experienced it all. So no judgment, a lot of curiosity though.
That's a mission focused gym right there. And fitness family fitness facility again. There we go. And Teo, where are people going if they want to find us?
Well, obstacle courses can be fun, but there shouldn't be any obstacles for people trying to find you and your gym on the internet. So if you find that there are obstacles, maybe you need help with your website. Maybe you need help with the way in which you are reaching out to your leads so they don't have obstacles opting in to find out more about you. Also, when you're checking people out and giving them memberships with your gym management software, there shouldn't be any obstacles there either. So if you want to be obstacle free in your websites, marketing automation, and gym management software, check out usekilo.com. Book a sales call with us today to learn more about how you can have an obstacle-free business. Unless you are selling obstacle courses, then that's different.
That was good. Did you prepare that ahead of time, or was that off
Absolutely
the dome?
not. That was right off the rip.
Wow, what a gift. Well, Joshua, thanks for making the time. And gym owners, if you got some value out of this, if you're going to go throw some birthday parties of your own and bring some leads into your kids' program and appreciated this, just be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with a gym owner in need. Until next week, Gym World, we love you.